Hello, everyone. Micah here. I've been working on casting a sovereign, and with mixed results, honestly. But of late, things have been very encouraging. Had a huge influx of people wanting to audition. We've had a huge influx of auditions that have been sent to us, and we've still got our open auditions coming up here on the 24th and 25th of March. But I wanted to share with you a tool or two that I came up with. It turns out that this process is uh, pretty complicated. There's a lot that comes in at you when you're working on it, and it came in a lot faster than I really kind of expected. So I'm kind of a techie guy, and even that did not really kind of save me for a while. So you expect that when you use things like Backstage and things like services like that are going to be these casting services that you're going to get in eventually, in a few days, couple hundred or so emails from people wanting to apply for audition for the parts, and it just starts to get into a lot. So getting organized mattered. So I did not find anything online that was particularly useful for organizing things, but I created some things, and I wanted to share some of those with you. First off, I wanted to share with you a spreadsheet that I put together. Um, you can use really any spreadsheet software, Numbers or Excel or the LibreOffice has things. I've been using Google Docs as my sort of home base because it's all integrated with the email and everything, and that seems to work really well. And it also it allows you to collaborate with people, which is pretty nice. So I've been using that, uh, but whatever is fine. But what I came up with is this set of sheets, these set of spreadsheets. So what you've got here is a way of organizing. It's set up vertically. So you're gonna. This is a clean sheet. I'm gonna post a link to this document, and you can all use it and just have it if it's useful for you. But say somebody sends you an email and says that they're interested in some part. Say it's me, and I can be like Micah, and his last name is Faulkner, and say the part that I want to play is Noble, right? My email is sovereign at bowlingfrog.com, and my phone number is 317-695-4967. Now, the next section I have here, I'd asked people for headshots and resumes, and I'd also asked them if they were interested in the part to submit a video that's a recording of them working through a scene. I posted some sides to a website. I made them color coded because I wanted to be able to spot them quickly. It's real easy to do this. You just kind of click on the letter, and it highlights that whole column, and you can choose over here any color that you want. Green was soothing for me because I was stressed, but you could use whatever. And so say they didn't have one yet. I just leave that blank, and then resume yes, and a headshot yes. And then I had a notes column because it turned out that a number of people that would submit things were surprisingly good at something or special. Maybe there was something that was a big deal in them, like they're bullies, right? Or maybe they're a sword fighter, or they can, they're a good singer or something, whatever matters. Most of the ones that I've got on my sheet are blank, but if there's something that's kind of a standout, that's there. Now this next one is score, and this is a thing about how spreadsheets work. If you go over here, you'll see over on this side over here, the format for the values in a spreadsheet is always structured the same way, and this is true with all the software. It starts with I'm going to just kind of get rid of some of this stuff, give us some more clean space. It starts with an equal sign, so it kind of works backwards than what we're used to, but you'll see it says evaluations here, right? And that exclamation mark is called a bang. And so evaluations bang is pointing to this sheet over here. It's actually pointing to another sheet. And then it says D2. And you'll see that there are columns that are alphabetical and then rows that are numerical. And so what this is saying, I want you to look up everything. I want you to look up from this point and paste it in here what's on D2 of the evaluation sheet. And we'll go over there and look right now. D is right here, and 2 is right here. And that's what that's pulling up. And this is Micah Faulkner's percentage score. His score so far is a 0 because he has no scores yet. So don't type anything in there. This should be referencing that other sheet. Now you see that there's none other below here yet, and I left that blank for you on purpose. It won't be like that when you access the file. But if you select the cell and then look down here at the bottom right, there's this little blue indicator here, and then this something similar is on all of the software. If you grab that bottom right corner and just drag down, and we're going to just keep on dragging down to, I don't know, 200 or so, right? It fills these in. Now, if you look over here on the top left, that's D2. I go down one, it says D3, D4, D5. It automatically knows to change the numbers of the cells. It does it relatively. It's really smart that way. And spreadsheets are a powerful tool. So there's that. Now, today's date is what? March 16th. So I can say March 16th. And then I can say information about how it was submitted. Say I submitted a YouTube video, or I can say it was submitted through Backstage, or through Facebook, or through email. Doesn't matter. Just that the reason why I included this was because I knew that once I started getting a bunch of these, I wanted to be able to find them again, and I didn't know. I wanted to make sure I knew where to look. Status is important. There's a few different statuses that matter in this situation I was in. What I've been using is the word interested as one. You know, it's somebody that contacted me and they're interested. Auditioned is another one. They put in an audition. Callback is another one. Like they've already auditioned and I'm interested in them. Pass is if they are not going to work for us. And then I've been using refused in that they told us that they don't want to be a part of the project. So type in whatever relevant thing is there. This number here is the number this is my very first one. Micah was my very first one that did something. And I only add these numbers once they've submitted the video. Because you're going to get a bunch of people that submit a note that they're interested, but won't go any further than that. And I want to kind of keep all my stuff at the top. I don't want to have them all spread out. So having them numbered based on what it is, and I'll show you how this works here in a minute. Callback is time. So say maybe March 25th at 4 p.m. And that way I know when my callback is. Now, how does this all fill in? Well, this is where the meat and bones actually get in. So we got this evaluations sheet here. See this? This is cool. Now, this thing is fueled by something called a rubric. What we decided was when we were watching people's stuff, we needed to have a way of grading them accurately. And so we came up with a rubric and a scale to work with people. And so we had a scale, and if I go in here to casting, I've got this form here. And I'm going to post this online as well. And this form is a rubric. Teachers use this kind of thing all the time. It's basically a grade card. A couple things about how to organize a rubric that I would advise. I would advise using base 10. 10s and 5s work really nice. I don't like to use a bunch of odd numbers because it gets hard to do the math. But these we've printed off, and every time that we watch a video, each one of us fills out one of these forms, and we write in the very top up here, we write down who the part is of, who the evaluator is, that would be maybe me, the actor's name, and then you circle the ones that matter to you. You say, and you're going to come up with you need to come up with your own priorities. For us, these were things that mattered. So, the appropriateness for the part mattered. So if they're perfect for the part and they're clearly the right age and they totally look right, then they're appropriate. And they're superb in that range. And then they're good if they are pretty close, but they look kind of wrong, but it's close. And then if they're way off the mark, then that's problematic, and they get 0 points. So 10 points here, 5 points here, 0 points. Their look. This is beyond the fact of who they are, but it's, do they look cool? Are they beautiful, or are they neat or interesting looking? Would they make a cool visual piece? Because cinema is a visual medium. So 10 points if they look really great, 5 points if they look okay. If they look problematic, you give them a 0. Preparedness. This has to do with how when they're reading their video, reading their part on the video, can we tell that they're going to be ready to rock in filming? I imagine that at the higher levels of cinema, everybody's probably off book or pretty close to it by the time they get to this point. But we're not doing that kind of movie, so that's not a deal breaker for me. Their ability to memorize lines quickly is not super important. But preparedness is something to think about. So would they be off book by the time we got there? Will they need help, or are they going to have to have everything fed to them? And that would be a 0. So 10, 5, 10, 0. Resume and headshot. We figured that this mattered because it would let us know pretty quickly whether they're a pro or not. If you do not have a resume or a headshot, it means that you haven't been here very long. You haven't been working very long on being an actor. So, and that's not a deal breaker, but it's something. This next one probably isn't on many rubrics for any casting people, but for us it mattered. We wanted to make a category for their vibe. Like, do we want to hang out with them? Do we want to be friends with them? Because for us it's a very social element to be making a movie. When you make a movie, you're trying to develop friendships and alliances, and it's just awesome. Being on a movie set is just totally awesome. That's why we decided to do this in the first place, just because you build these really, really great friendships. And so if the person's like, wow, that guy looks cool, or they give them the 10 points, but if they seem kind of creepy or jerky, bad. And then skill, like, was I impressed with how they could act? And then, since we're dorks, we have this area with positive feedback. When you respond to people, you're going to want to say something nice about what they did. So look for something nice that you can write down here. The way that can be put into their response email. And then look for something that was a weakness. And you don't need a ton of these. A lot of people have a lot of weaknesses. Just choose one, especially one that they can fix. And then tell them what that is. And then this final section is only for us, and it's additional notes. Is there something that's a standout that doesn't fit into this rubric? Do they have like really amazing eyebrows or something? Are they a deal breaker? Are they like a rapist or something? And we're like, no, they just cannot be in it. They've got everything else. They've got a perfect score except for that rape. They can't be in there. So it's a big deal. So this is where that information would go. And so once you get that all done, you put all that information in there, and it creates a score out of 60. And then that fills into your sheet. So over here, you got 2 evaluators. In this case, we've got Micah and Shalene, and this Micah's are all indicated by M's and Shalena's by C's. You can label them whatever you like. But, Micah evaluated Micah and really liked him. So he thought he was very appropriate for the part of Noble. He thought that he looked just like Noble. He thought he was very prepared. He thought that he was what was the other thing? Resume. He had a resume and a headshot. He had a great vibe. He'd love to know Micah, and he has great skill. And so he got a perfect score, right? And if you see, as this went through here, this score was automatically calculated. And that's because what's in this cell right here is this equation that says equal. Remember, it always starts with the equal, and it says sum. And it says from G2 to L2. It starts G to L2. And those are in parentheses. So it adds those up automatically for it. And then Shalene thought that, so appropriate for the part. The look was kind of a 0. No, not really. Prepared, definitely. She was very proud of me there. Resume and all that. Yeah, of course, I totally got my stuff. I get a good score there. Vibe, she's a little tired of me now, so there's a 5. And the skill, probably a 0. And so she's a little bit more realistic. And so her score is calculated over here as a 30. And it's done the same way. You got this equal, sum, and that's the range, M2 to R2. Now, to come up with a score, one way you could do this would be to just add the two scores together. But since this is each a scale out of 60, you end up with a 120 score, which is kind of hard to internalize. We are used to percentiles. So the way I did this was I said equals E2 plus F2 in parentheses. And then I divide that by 120. That gives me a percentage, but that's going to be a decimal. And then I say times 100, which boosts it up to just a number. So it's a 75%. So I got a C. So good for me. Notes, too busy directing. And then if there's any other stuff you want to put in here. In our case, we have a casting director who looks at some of these things and be like, terrible, she might say. And that might be what goes in there. And the verdict here is going to be, we're going to make a decision. We're going to say callback. Maybe. For 75%, no, there's a lot of good people out. I'm going to say. We're just going to go in and just go ahead and say pass. So that says pass. And that's this spreadsheet. Now, if I go back over here to auditions, you're going to see that this automatically filled in some stuff. It automatically filled in this 75% for the score. And let me clear this out. I'm going to go in here. I'm going to say edit, delete values. And what I'm going to do is I want to make this say where the status is. So I'm going to say equals. Go back over here. I'm going to say pass. And is this doing this right? A little tricky on this. I don't know why it does this. And then I say boom. And so now that says pass. And in fact, I'm going to just drag that corner down like I showed you before and fill these all out. And that way, anything that says in that one, it shows up here. So pass is right there. Right? So, and I can fill out another one over here. I'm going to be like Joe Blow. And playing for the part of Liz. That's ABC at 123.com. And maybe they didn't give me a phone number. Yes, on the video. Nothing here. The date was 3/16 again. Through email. And then I can go back over here. And since they gave me a video, I'm going to go ahead and put a 2 there. And go back over my evaluations and, whatever. It'd be like 10, 5, 5, 5, 10, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 10, 10. And that gives me a score of 67. And I'm going to say that's pass. If I go back over here, it should be filled in pass automatically. See how these things match up already? So that spreadsheet is a handy tool. Along with the rubric, this gives you the capacity to organize a lot of information in a pretty easy way, and work from there. The only other thing I wanted to show you here was this little bit of sorting. Say I've got all these things filled out. Say it's. Let's just do this. Let's just copy these things and make them kind of fill in. I got all these things down here. And say this guy finally sends in this Micah over here. We're going to change his name. We're going to call him like Frankie Bourbon. He finally sends in this video to us. And he did that like 3:20. He did it by email. He does this, and I go over here to evaluations. Gotta find Frankie Bourbon here. Here we go. He's over here, Frankie Bourbon. He's awesome. Frankie Bourbon's a great guy. Got 10s all the way across, right? He's perfect for the part. And so, the way I'm skipping from tab to tab is using from cell to cell is using the tab button. So I get that set there. Note, he's in Amsterdam, which is unfortunate. But call back, right? Now, when I go back over here, he's way down here. And he might even be on a lower part of the page. And I want him up here at the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go over here. I'm just going to type in 3. Then I'm going to select this column here that says N. And if I just click on the N itself, it fills the whole column. And then I'm going to choose this drop-down menu. I'm going to say Sort Sheet A to Z. It means in ascending order. And when I do that, it pulls him right up to the top. And that's why I do that numbering. That way you can pull people down lower in the stack. Because when you get 100 of these things, you won't be able to find anybody. So that's a handy thing to have in there. So I'm going to clear this stuff out for you. So when you work on it, it will make sense. And not have just my name over and over again. And hopefully that will be a useful tool for you if you're getting into production or casting. So thanks for listening. I will try to create new elements as I come across them in this process of making a movie. And if you haven't done so already, please go over to sovereignthemovie.com, check out the project, or go to our Facebook page. It's Sovereign the Movie for Facebook as well, and follow us there. Thank you so much, and I appreciate you supporting this project. If you want to be a part of the team, just let me know.